Well, here we are. House of the Dragon Season 2 is officially over, and I just gotta say, I told you so. I told you so. Let's talk about it. Yes, I finally, after my trip to Mexico and not having Max as an option, having no real way of watching House of the Dragon finale, was able to watch it here, take it all in, and gather my thoughts. And there's some things I loved about the finale, but this is not going to be a finale review. This is going to be a season review because I've missed my chance to review the finale. Instead, I'm just here to basically say, this is a bad TV show. And it became extremely apparent to me in that the end of the TV show, when we were doing a bunch of highlight stuff of all the people coming together for this potential war and what war, that like half of them you don't know anything about, and there's nothing of interest there besides the fact that maybe they're holding a banner that you can know from Game of Thrones, or maybe it's a character we've seen briefly here and there, but we don't know anything about their perspective. We haven't followed any of the additional characters throughout. The world hasn't been built out enough that I'm just like, what's the point of this montage? Cool. A bunch of no-names, red shirts walking around. You spent so much time on the high towers and the Targaryen, the green and the blacks, that you forgot to build the world out around them. And that is what made Game of Thrones successful, was the vast array of characters across a landscape having their own great writing techniques. And I will say, Honest Trailers did an excellent video today highlighting the difference between House of the Dragon, boring, bland, bad dialogue, and the dialogue that you got from Game of Thrones that made you fall in love with it from season 1. It's very clear that, because, the House of the Dragon storyline, the Dances of Dragons and the, Fire and Blood novels are very much historical accounts and not dialogue type scripts like you got with the Game of Thrones Song of Fire and Ice series, that they don't know how to write characters in this world. The conversations are bland to the point and boring. The actors are doing as much, and they are doing a great job with their charisma and getting performances out of this just purely just bad writing. And just the way their dialogue goes, and I think it's so obvious, even with at the end, the conversations again between Rhaenyra and Alicent, because once again, this season, we gotta have somebody sneak into the other castle perfectly fine without anybody seeing them. Because, stupidity, bad writing. The writing is just so basic and so complex and so uninteresting that the show detaches itself, I feel, with a lot of these main characters that we should have been growing to love throughout this season. Now, there are some things I did start liking, and I wish they were built upon throughout the whole season instead of being speed run. The Dragon Riders, I think episode 7, and even a little bit of episode 8, I wish we got, we didn't speed rush that and we were able to get them, more clearly throughout the season instead of just layered scenes here and there. Like, hey, here's their one scene every other episode. I wish there were characters and perspectives we were given from the beginning in every episode. And maybe I know people won't want to hear this, slow down the story a bit and build characters up so that when Rook's Rest happens, and I would have had Rook's Rest instead of happening on like episode 4, I would have had that be kind of the episode 6 or 7 cliffhanger. These new characters are going to fill those spots, and we feel like we know them, and we feel like we've been built up with them, and the story feels like it continues. And I think we needed those characters to be built on both small councils. I think, the Lannister going across to the Essos and trying to work a fleet to block the blockade would have been an excellent multi-episode just checking in storyline instead of maybe the Daemon visions we kept getting. Don't even get me started. We'll rant about Daemon's end vision there and the self-referential, we'll get there. I wish we could have built out, and I think we did a decent job enough, but I kind of wish we got built out a little bit more of Lair Strong and Aegon's relationship throughout. I think it was there just enough, but because there was so much focus on so many other things that were just directly in that small council room, in the black small council room, that it felt so unbalanced until the very, I think, as things started to spread out a little bit better. Aemon, man, he got lost the second half of this season. They just decided, like, well, we're just going to turn him into a crazy person. Even though at first he seemed like to have, have the kind of the right ideas, we need him to be crazy now, so we're just going to... Crazy! Again, lazy, bad writing, and I think the story of him would have worked better if it was drawn out more, and we were getting more scenes per se throughout. It's just... House of the Dragon is just the best produced, terrible show I may have well, yeah, I'll say it. I may have ever seen. I found more redeemable things in Rings of Power Season 1, which wasn't that great, than I did House of the Dragon Season 2. I'll say it. I at least like some of the character journeys in Rings of Power Season 1. Not all of them, but there's a few glimpses where this season I'm kind of coming in the end. I'm just like, man, this writing team sucks. This story sucks. You basically made just tyrants on Greens and the Black, which is kind of fine, but the characters are written so poorly, the dialogue is written so poorly, everybody is so unlikable, there was really nothing to root for. And then you throw in our face episode after episode after episode, whatever this goddamn plot was with Daemon and these visions and needing to self-referentiate the Song of Fire and Ice things, and we, ooh, Three-Eye Raven, ooh, White Walkers, ooh, Daenerys with her dragons. Do you remember Game of Thrones? We hope you do, because you want to love the world, but we hope you don't remember too much, because then you'll remember that actually had quality for the first 6 or 5 seasons, and this is complete bullshit and bad. I would have rather Daemon be in Harrenhal. We get a kind of start clip of him going there, and then we find out next season what he was up to. All the visions and just who was Rachel I forget who the Rivers person was. What was her whole point in this? What was that character's point? Is she wanting him to work with Rhaenyra? Is she wanting him to make his own power? Was she wanting to make him drive himself crazy to get him out of the war for maybe the green side? I don't know. They aren't going to explain that. It's just bad writing. Just a waste of our time. And that's mainly what Season 2 of House of the Dragon is. A giant waste of time. Now, I'm sure, given what this show is left off, we're going to be getting a very high-action-y, big war-themed season for Season 3, especially off the bat. But I'm not excited for it. I don't know. In 2 years, I'm gonna want to watch it because I felt myself not wanting to watch this finale. I was like, kind of like, hey, it's nice and free, but I was like, you know what? We gotta close this book. I did the review on the whole, from the beginning of the season to the end. Let me go from this whole book from open to close and just give my thoughts on House of the Dragon Season 2. And while there are a couple episodes I give highlights, I think the Rook's Rest episode and the new Dragon Riders episode, Dragon Seed episode, were highlights. The other 6 episodes were lowlights, and not good lowlights. And seeing how much money was poured into this, seeing how much the talent was trying to bring out some of these god-awful lines and these god-awful character dialogues, and just the bad plot pacing and the bad plotting, and my god, we had the same sets. I got started thinking about it. I was like, we really only had 6 sets this season. You have Rhaenyra's back office area. You have the Black and the Greens councils. You have that one ship area on Driftmart. For whatever reason, that's the only part of Driftmart we can see is the dock where there's the ship. A lot of the talking happened in only a few areas. The world doesn't feel lived in, and it just feels dry, boring, and low ambition. And that's why I'm giving House of the Dragon Season 2 a low silver. The production design and the forcing of acting alone, I can't give it a bronze, but if I was giving the story a grade, the overall enjoyment of me a grade, I feel like a bronze, but I have to acknowledge the good where, and make it a silver. This is not a good TV show, and we need to stop pretending like it is. House of the Dragon should be canceled. That's my thoughts. Like and subscribe to hear more. And tell me why I'm wrong in the comments down below. Or tell me why I'm right. But yeah. I'll see you for more movie reviews here on the channel. And TV show reviews when TV shows come out. Peace.